Hello, I'm Jack, UI UX designer, illustrator, animator, donut connoisseur, and for today I'll be your amphibian guide. We're making a character using Adobe Illustrator and Project Neo. So let me hop right on over to my screen so we can get right into it, because we got a lot to do today, folks. So over in Illustrator, I put together this amazingly cute little frog sketch. So we're going to be working on this character, which I've started over in Illustrator, and I'm going to walk you through this whole process here. But let me kind of give you an overview of kind of where this is going to start and where we're going to take it. So for those of you that have ever joined any of my personal streams, you'll remember the struggle when we worked on this little Bing Su character, and we did a similar kind of process here. You can see we created a kind of like a bunch of sketches to capture the kind of personality, and then we did the front view, a side view, and I have my banana for scale as you need, right? So in this case, we did a lot of sketches and we created this front and the side view and everything. And it's useful to have a front and a side view when you're working in 3D, so you can kind of capture the volume of your character. So not only do you want to have some sketches that capture the nice kind of personality, but you want to have these different sides so you understand when you go to build it, like, oh no, now I have to rotate it because it's 3D. What does it look like from the side, right? So I've kind of gone ahead and done that today for you already, but what we're going to end up creating with those sketches is going to look like this. So this is our little Bing Su character that we created using our sketches over in Illustrator. So this character started its life out in Illustrator just as a two-dimensional sketch. This is the one that we ended up going with here. We ended up creating these side and front views, a banana for scale, and then we did some color studies. So I did a similar kind of process over here with our frog. I created some sketches. You can see where I spent most of my time on the facial expression. And then from there, I created these front, side, and scale views. Now, the lines here are actually guides in Illustrator, and I put them in here so that I can just get an idea of the proportions. Always, always, always keep in mind when you're doing this that this is your sketch. This isn't going to be your final art. So things are open to change. So if people have suggestions in the chat they want to see, instead of I've got a little flower on top of this guy right now, acting as I originally wanted to do a frog prince, you guys, okay, but I decided to put a flower on its head. Also, yes, we do need names in the chat. So if you're over on Behance or on YouTube, let me know names for this guy. I'm partial when it comes to naming frogs to Pickle. I like the name Pickle. Frogs remind me of pickles. Anyways, I've got a little flower. We can change the hat. We can add any kind of details. But I want to get just kind of the base concept here, right? This is just our character, right? We can add things onto it. Terrence, I love that, Oliver. So the lines here are just to give me an idea of proportion. You can see I've got one at the top of the hat to make sure that my front and the side view both kind of line up in the same spot. We've got one at the top of the eyes and the bottom of the eyes here, and they both approximately line up. And then down here, I've got where the kind of legs, the top of the legs starts, and where the bottom of the legs start. I actually have a single line here for the eyes, I should have pointed this out, and the top of the leg, because they kind of meet in the same spot. And one thing that's really important about the side view here, especially with the frog, is frogs have really interesting, their legs are very long and they fold in a really interesting way. So it's kind of important to get that anatomy right. So you know that the leg kind of starts at the back and comes to the front, versus from the side view, it kind of looks like they just kind of come out from the side, right? So you want to have both of those kind of views so you have like a nice volumetric idea of your frog. And this isn't perfect. You can argue that this isn't a true side view, right? This is kind of a 3/4 view of our frog, but it gives you an idea of what the proportions are going to be. So that's going to help us kind of, when we're building this character out, we need to think about like, what does this shape look like from all sides, so we can make a shape and then we can, we can create it in 3D, and it's going to kind of fit the volume of our frog, right? So it's going to make more sense in a minute. I also need some help over here. So I did some color studies. All I did for this, by the way, if you have any questions, we're moving a little bit fast today because I want to get it right into Neo, and we're going to be working back and forth between Illustrator and Neo. But I've got to get all this stuff out of the way first before we get there. So I created some color studies, and how I did this is I actually took my, just my front view sketch here, and I used live paint. So I picked some color palettes I always like to work, it's just a personal preference, with some like 4 or 5 colors. And I use live paint to just create fill. So I added, the fill colors to this. Again, this isn't meant to be my final art. This is just a color study. So it can be a little bit messy. The shapes aren't going to be perfect. I'm just basically coloring my sketch so that I can get an idea of what color palette I want to use. So I need some help in the chat. Are we going to go? We've got 3 color palette options. We've got option 1. This is, I don't know, this is just what first came to my mind when I thought of a frog. So I'll call this one the traditional color palette. And then we've got the more vibrant, interesting color palette in the kind of teals. And then this is a very, this is more subdued, kind of like this one, but a little bit more subdued, sort of like earth tones, I guess. So let me know 1, 2, or 3 what your favorite color palette is. Now, we've got our sketch. I'm going to move it over here. Also, I wanted this to be a very tiny frog. I did make it much smaller than my banana for scale, but I realized that like the flower, like I couldn't make the flower super teeny tiny, so it's kind of like half a banana, the scale of our frog. So, all right, we've got 1 vote for 1 and 1 vote for 3, 2 votes for 1. Oh, everybody likes number 1. All right, I'm just gonna move Illustrator over here for the time being. Just so I can have it off my other screen over here so I can reference it as we're working. But we're going to be jumping back and forth a lot between Illustrator and Project Neo today. So you can see this is Project Neo. This is another design that I created, that Being Sue character. We're going to use a similar process today. So to get started on, what's the website? projectneo.adobe.com. I'm just going to hit create. It's going to create a new file for me. The nice thing about Project Neo is you don't have to save. It's going to automatically save for you as you're working. So no need to use the sip and save emotes today in the chat, my friends. We're going to do a little bit of setup here before I get started. The green is probably fine because we're working on a frog, but I don't love the green. So in my scene settings over here, I'm just going to open this up and I'm going to set my background just to white so it's a little less distracting. Speaking of distracting, do we want actual poll or just type answers in the chat? If you want to throw a poll up, Val, that would be great for folks to vote over on YouTube. Or I can just do mental math. But I might miss some people if that's the case. So I would appreciate you forever, even though I already do, Val, if you threw a poll up. Also, in my scene settings, I'm going to turn off the frame. I'm going to turn this back on once we go to export. But for the time being, I know it can be distracting. I've heard some folks say, like, the pole, it's blinding my eye, or the frame, it's blinding my eyes. Sorry, said pole, I meant frame. And then it gives you this little cube just as a starting point if you want to, have something to work with. I think most 3D programs do this. For example, like, you just kind of have something to work with. So I don't need that, though. I'm going to delete it. Now, I could also delete this plane. I don't really need it. We can add our own. Later on, I'm also taking suggestions for the environment. If we want to put it on a lily pad, if we want to put it on a leaf, if we want to put it into water, it's really kind of up to you guys today. And we're gonna go ahead and we'll make this. I'm gonna change this from to a lighter gray. I don't want it to be distracting. I want it there. You're gonna see it's gonna be easier to have a surface to put our frog on, but we can always change that surface. So that's the basic setup that I like to do in Neo. If you want to, if you know you're going to be working, your final export is going to be vector. Up here in the top, you can go ahead and you can change this to vector art right from the beginning. But we're going to keep this. This is going to look 3D in the end. So we're going to keep it 3D for now. Now, to get started, you've got all these kind of primitive shapes over here. Very similar to shape tools in Illustrator. The cube, you've got the sphere, right? Those are the ellipse, the rectangle. They're, similarly, how I like to start in Project Neo is the same way I would start in Illustrator. I like to start with basic shapes and then kind of carve out from there, right? So what's kind of the shape of a frog body? It's kind of taking a look back over here. It's kind of an oval. It's certainly wider at the front of the face here. So just kind of looking from what we've got, I'm gonna start with, we could start with a teardrop. I'm gonna start with the egg down here. And there's no right or wrong here, honestly. You could start with either of them, to be fair. So I'm gonna start with the egg, and I'm gonna click. And I'm going to click, and it's gonna place it. Now, it's a little bit hard to see the color, so for now, I'm not gonna pick one of our colors, but I'm gonna change the color of this We'll just change it to, a green, just so we can see it, right? That's too much. We don't want neon green. That hurts my eyes. All right, so there's our egg, a frog egg, so to speak. Oh, it's a frog egg, and we're making a frog. It's gonna hatch from the frog, or it's gonna hatch from the egg. Vote for mushroom. Ooh, I like mushroom. That's fun. Let's see how our poll is doing over on YouTube. Ooh, we've got 60% for one. Everybody's down for one. Oh, a plastic bottle, so it tells a story. I love that. I love that idea. Oh, you want to see the color palettes again? Hold on, let me pull them up. Over here, these are what they look like. So, we've got like a, I don't know. This is the first one that I came up with. So it's just kind of like frog. This one is a lot more saturated and more interesting. Like, I don't know, like it's like teal frog. And then we've got just a slightly more muted but still green earth tony frog. So those are the three colors that we've got to work with here. So there's our frog. All right, we did it, guys. We're done. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna rotate this around. So if I look at Neo, it's actually if you play around with it a little bit, it's not that intimidating. Once you start to like explore the tools, if you drag on any of these corners where you see a little box or the little box over here, you can scale this kind of object up or down. So we could pull it up to scale it disproportionately up. We can scale it disproportionately out just by pulling any of those sides. So it's kind of stretching it. If you imagine you're creating a shape in Illustrator, we're not holding down shift, we're just pulling it, right? Same with the rotation. I can rotate these along each of these axes here. These are called the X, Y, and Z axes. You can also access all of this down here in the transform panel along the side. But our frog needs to rotate this way. If you hold down shift, it's actually going to rotate this around for you in 45-degree increments, just like Illustrator. So I'm going to rotate that around so we've got our frog kind of facing the front. This is going to be the head, and then this is going to be, where our body is. And I'm going to leave it a little bit above the ground because the frog isn't actually, its body's not sitting on the ground, its legs are. So we're going to start here. And we need to modify, this a little bit. It's not like a perfect egg-shaped frog. So we're going to go into our shape settings. You actually can go into, there's like a basic shape settings that you can get to, your transforms that you can get to with the select. But if we go into edit shape, now we can make some adjustments to the shape itself. So we can kind of squash and stretch things if we want to. We can pull the shapes to make it like longer or more square. And we're going to go in here. We can do an inflate if we wanted to make it sort of have more of a rounder look to it. And actually, now that I look at this, I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm not going to use the egg. I'm going to use the drop, which is a little bit more complex shape, but it's going to give us more options as a result. So we're going to go to our green here, change my mind, and we're going to scale it up. Now, the interesting thing in this drop shape is that you can control the position of these 2 points. So you can make these kind of like come to more of a point or not. You can also control the thickness. So if we go down here to, I believe it is, thickness, we can make the whole shape kind of wider if we want to. We can also use an inflate. I like to actually pull these in. So you get a lot of controls here, and it can be a little bit, I think, maybe intimidating at first, but it's not so scary. The reason I want to use this shape though is you see these little, if you've ever used Illustrator before, you know how you have the live corners. You get the same options with this. As opposed to the egg, we just get kind of like a flat egg shape. This allows me to kind of flatten this shape a little bit. So if I pull these out, I can kind of make the face of our frog have a little bit of a flatter surface, which I want for where I'm going to put kind of the face. So it kind of like flattens it out at the front. So I'm just kind of planning ahead and thinking about like how I want the end result of this to look. I'm also going to do a little bit of an inflate on this. We're going to pull these. Let's pull these in a little bit. The thickness can be a little bit hard to control, but that's actually, I'm going to go back, do that. bring this down. I'm going to use the inflate on it. And I'm going to go to my regular shape tools. And I'm just going to expand it out a little bit. And we're going to rotate it again down here. All right, that's looking good. I can always go back in here and edit these shapes, you know, later on as we kind of want. Make the corners a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Chunky frog coming in. Let's pull it up so it's actually not sitting on the ground entirely. There we go. All right. I may have overdone it on the inflate. All right, perfect. I'm not going to adjust it anymore. I'm getting too nitpicky with it. All right. Ryan loves them. Little frog family. Yay. All right, so I want to make sure that we do some stuff in Illustrator as well. So I'm actually going to hop back over. Oh, we've got color choices. So number 1 and 2, it looks like number 1 and 2 are tied. Oh no. Well, I think I saw more, I think maybe we had more votes for 1 at one point. So I'm going to go with 1. And all I have to do in order to bring my colors over, oh no, it's tied. Well, I'm making an executive decision. We'll pick 1. The nice thing about this is that all I have to do to bring these colors over is I can actually grab the hex value. So I'm going to select my color swatch that I made over at the top. I'm going to copy it. And then over in Neo, with my shape selected, I'm going to just paste it right in here and it's going to apply my color. Oh no, what did I do? Did I not copy it? I might have not copied it. I didn't. That was on me, you guys. There we go. So now we've got our green in here. Now, keep in mind the lighting is going to be affecting this, and once we get to the end, we can experiment more with the lighting, and we can adjust the material properties as well. But I want to get this shape of this frog blocked in so it looks like a frog. All right, so I'm going to hop back over to Illustrator for a sec because I want to add in the legs. Now, in order to do that, we're actually going to use SVGs. This is my favorite thing about Project Neo, and that is that you can use SVGs as shapes in Neo. And this blew my mind. This was like changed the whole process for me. So you can see down in here where I did this before, I'm creating like flat views of the shapes that I need, and then I can extrude them and revolve them to create 3D objects in Neo. So I'm actually just going to open a new file, since I find this to kind of be the easiest way to do it. And we need to create our frog's leg. So in order to do that, I'm just going to create a rectangle, same process, just a shape here. And it needs to be kind of like a little bit wider. And it's got kind of like that inflate. So with our rectangle selected, I'm just setting it to black so we can see it. Where's the poll? Evie says. Oh, it was over on YouTube. So if you ever want to vote in the polls, they're going to be over on YouTube. So Behance folks, head on over there. All right, so I'm going to create this first leg here. I'm going to go to, and I know this is a little bit hard to see with all these windows. I work in chaos. What can I say? We're going to go to Effect, Warp. We're going to pick one of the warps. Now, once you open one of them, it's going to open up the rest of them, so you don't have to worry about that. I can just pick from the drop down. So I'm going to drop down to where it says bulge. And that's going to create that, bulge effect that we want in the legs. I'm going to switch it to vertical. So now this is starting to look like a frog leg a little bit, right? At least the thigh of a frog, right? Bruce, how's it going, Bruce? And we're going to pull it. It doesn't need to be that. We don't need to go that crazy with it. So we're just going to pull it in a little bit to get that kind of shape there. I'm going to hit OK. We also round the corners out on this. So this is going to be one of our frog leg shapes. And it is a live shape, so if I did want to kind of scale it and stretch it and everything like that, it's going to update with the effect applied. And now I'm going to make my second leg. So I'm going to copy and paste to make another leg on this. Let me know when we need another poll. All right, I will. I think we're good for now. I don't know if chat wants to throw some suggestions for environmental elements. We can certainly get a poll going for those once we have an idea of what we might want to put in the environment. I saw mushroom. So maybe we do mushroom, leaf, or lily pad, unless other people have ideas as well. So I'm going to go ahead. Actually, you know what? I want to keep this the same shape. So I'm going to make both of these a little bit skinnier. And then, so if you imagine this is a joint, let me just kind of demonstrate for you for a sec. Oh, I have to expand it. All right. So if you imagine this to be a joint of a leg, it needs to meet and connect with the other part of the leg, right? So we're kind of like constructing this. So our frog legs need to have the same radius, joint point where they join, and then I can make this taper at the bottom, if that makes sense. And that's what we're gonna do. So I know it took me a minute to get there. Oh, a pond as well. Yeah, we could do a pond water. I did actually do a little sketch. I didn't know where to put it though, of our frog in the water. And I wanted to do the whole frog body. I didn't want to do just part of it. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna taper this in using the free transform tool. There we go. I do need to adjust. I think this needs to be slightly thinner. Hang on. Let me find my warp. I'm gonna bring this down to like 20. And we'll do the same thing here. Actually, you know, let's see. Maybe it's the corner radius tool. Oh, you know what? It's because I got rid of my corner radius. All right, I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna taper this first, and then I'm gonna reapply the corner radius to this. I'm gonna undo that. Troubleshooting, a little bit of troubleshooting here. No. Where did my tool go? That's okay. We'll just do it the old way. All right, so we've got taper on that. We'll taper we'll round out these, and then we'll round these out as well. Took a minute there. So now you can kind of see the vision maybe a little bit, that we're gonna have this leg, these two legs meet as separate pieces, and then we're gonna, you know, as 3D objects. So, and I don't need to separate these out either. So I can just leave them kind of like all in the same file together, and I'm gonna go to File. Oh, one more thing important. Since we're exporting an SVG and the bulge effect isn't actually something that can export out from an SVG, we need to go to expand appearance. We can get actual shapes. Now we're going to go to save as. I'm going to save on my computer, and I'm going to say legs. Frog legs? Frog legs. For Terrence. I'm going to change this to an SVG, and I'm just going to save it on my desktop. There we go. And now, over in Neo, I'm going to import the SVG frog legs. And now you can see we've got our massive frog legs in our file. Now, it's going to come in that size. It's okay, don't worry. We're going to scale it down so it's more Terrence sized. We're going to rotate it so it's vertical. And then the vision's going to come to life, I promise. We do need to rotate this. It looks like it came in upside down, so I'm going to flip it all the way around. Welcome in, Monica. Very practical and great program. Yeah, I'm glad you're liking it. I would encourage everybody to check this out because I think it's really interesting, personally. I've never been like I've always struggled with 3D, believe it or not, even though I'm making it look easy right now. Anybody who watched my first Project Neo stream will remember that struggle is real. And it took me a long time to kind of wrap my head around it, but then once I got into it, I was like, oh, this is, especially the SVG stuff. So you can see I brought those in, and now I've got two shapes here, and we can just start to modify them. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply, actually, let's leave them dark for now so we can see. And Monica's asking if this show normally covers Neo. No, this is just me. I decided to share some 3D stuff with you guys today, so and this is just me having fun. This is what I enjoy doing. So I'm gonna go down here now, and I'm actually gonna go into so I'm in the edit shape parameters. You can either get to it from, you know, using the UI over here, or actually just by scrolling down. I tend to like to use it from inside of the, you know, properties panel for the shapes as well. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to round the corners out and everything. Second thing I'm going to do, inflate. So that's going to give us a lot more, Actually, let's bring the inflate down about in the middle there, something like that, right? We don't need it to be that, we don't need to go crazy. And now that I kind of see what it looks like, I'm going to pull it out. Now, we could also use a revolve on this if we had like half of the shape and we just revolved it. That would also work in this case. But I'm just doing it this way. I kind of like how it's a little bit blocky. So I'm just kind of pulling this out and rounding the corners again until I get something that looks relatively round and kind of like a frog leg. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to pull this out using the scale, round it, and then we're going to put the pieces together. There we go. So now we've got a little frog leg going on. Very nice. Alright, so let's pull this out and let's attach this to our frog, remembering that the front of the frog is the larger part here. And taking a look at our frog anatomy that we sketched out, the back part of the leg, angling towards the face, is going to be the larger leg. So we're going to go over here and we're going to put this into position. And we're going to rotate it out. And we are going to, oop, I moved the wrong shape. Make sure that we, sometimes that happens. Might have accidentally snapped it. When we pull this out, you can turn off snapping somewhere. I think it's in the scene settings. You don't want to have it enabled. Oh, you know what? It's at the top. If you don't want object snapping turned on, I'm actually going to turn it off for the time being. That way it doesn't mess up my frog positioning. I'm going to pull this down first. Get it back into place. All right. And I don't know what happened to my legs, but we can fix it. We can fix it, no worries. Pull it back out. Rotate this back around. Pull it back out. In our settings, make sure you got those rounded out again. There we go. And we are going to double check our frog. So it needs to be angled kind of up towards the front and out. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to angle it this way. I'm going to angle it this way. Paying attention where it joins kind of the body here. And I am going to let this touch the bottom. I'm also going to angle it a little bit towards the front. I'm going to check on the size as well. Let's pull this out. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm also gonna blend things. So up here at the top, this is actually also one of my favorite things about Neo. I can actually blend these shapes together. So if I increase the blending, it's by default set to additive. I can merge this leg with the body. And I'm actually going to rotate this down a little bit. Oh, you know what? I did this the opposite way. You guys, see, I needed you to remind me that the back of the frog is over here. That was all me. That's okay. We can fix it real quick. Wop. Alright, so it's blending in with the foreground, or I mean the ground plane, but that's okay. I'm just going to pull everything in. I've got the blending turned up pretty high right now, which is why it's doing that. The other thing is anything that's below. So if we don't want things to blend, we want to bring them to the top. So I've now got the ground plane above my object so that it's no longer blending. So that's an important detail that we learned on my stream, is that if you don't want things to blend, you want to make sure that you have the object above. If I bring it below, now it's going to blend again with my object. So I'm going to turn the blending down a bit since I don't want it to blend that much. Take this around. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this as well so it's not as distracting. So again, I'm just going to copy this color, and I'm just going to paste it in here. There we go. And before I get the other leg in, I'm going to do one other thing, and I'm going to do a mirror. So I can actually mirror this leg. Let's see. Actually, where did you go, leg? I should be able to mirror it. Oh, there they are. I found you. Alright. Might not be able to use a mirror. We might have to see. Sometimes it depends on the original way that it was drawn, but that's okay. We'll just copy this over instead. I sometimes have this problem with the mirror. Alright, I'm gonna copy and paste. Hello. And I'm just going to rotate this around and move it onto the other side. So there's little frog legs. Make sure that everything lines back up. Make sure that this blends. I want to pull this shape back down. Below. I don't know what's happened here. There we go. Alright, and now we're going to do the same thing here. Now, because the shape is, let's move it below. If I move it below my other legs, I should be able to very easily, let's see if this mirror works. Nope. That's okay. It was a nice idea. I'm going to need to make this one angle this way and rotate a little bit towards the front. The legs of the frog are probably the most difficult part to get right in terms of positioning, and then once we get that in, it's going to be a lot easier to get the rest in. I just need to get everything kind of set up here. We're going to do the same thing with the feet. We're going to create the shapes in Illustrator and bring them in. It's going to be a lot easier to extrude those shapes. Again, I need to make sure that this is below in order for it to blend. So I'm going to make sure that it's below. I'll pull it on in. Make sure that we've got everything kind of set up. Turn it in a little bit more. I know it looks a bit creepy right now because they're two different colors. Don't worry. I'll make sure that the colors are correct. Alright, let's go back over here. Copy. How's it going, Megan? And now we've got some frog pieces. Alright, let's go ahead and get in the eyes as kind of the next step here. There we go. This one, for some reason, it's not quite in the same position as the other one. Typically, I'd be able to use a mirror. I think that when I imported it, I didn't, you have to kind of pay attention. Sometimes you have to rotate in Illustrator the SVG in order to get it. Is there a way to duplicate? I'm just using, I do have my keyboard shortcuts on at the top, so you should be able to see. I'm just using Command-C and Command-V to copy and paste. A lot of the keyboard shortcuts are the same in Illustrator and Neo, which is also super handy. Alright, so we got some frog legs. I'm also going to save myself a little bit of time. We could make custom arms and legs, but we're not, at least for right now. We could go back and edit these, but I just want to get the arms. Are they arms, really? Chat, you tell me. I don't know. I don't know if they are arms or legs. I should know since I did a whole project on frog anatomy in college. But I'm struggling to remember. Alright, we're going to blend this with the body as well. Just bring it a little bit. So I'm just getting all of the, I work large to small when I'm working on this kind of stuff in Illustrator and in Project Neo. It's just going to make it easier for me to go back in and add, well, it's going to be easier for me to add the details if I have this kind of stuff in place first. We can always change the shapes of the legs if we don't like them. Because I also kind of thought, what if we did like arms that had more joints? The legs have 2 joints, so the arms should technically as well, but like a joint and a shoulder and an elbow. They're jumpers, yeah. Unless that was, I might have missed something. Was that a joke somebody made about frogs? Froggos. Frogs were also, I think, one of the first things I learned how to draw as a child. So, maybe a little sentimental there. Alright, I'm also gonna, I keep pulling this back up to the top because I don't want it to blend with the bottom shape there. Alright. Eyeballs. Very important. Sphere. Grab our color. This is also gonna go pretty fast because they're just spheres on top of the head, right? So let's go back to the front of our frog's head to make sure that we get them nicely positioned. The those Boolean operations, that's the fancy term for the blending that we've got going on, are gonna come in handy here for a sec. So let's go here and make sure our eyes are spaced out how we kind of want them on the head. I should be able to use the mirror for this. Come on, mirror. Don't let me down. Oh, there we go. All right, so now we can pull these out. Oh no. I think I need to have it. How do I want to do this? Let's bring, oh, I need to bring it to the center line and then pull it out. No? Maybe not. Admittedly, the mirror is not my strong suit. All right, so we're just going to put the eyeballs on our frog. Generally where they go. And we're also going to blend these. So I'm going to turn on the blend for this. And we're going to do a couple things here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blend it into the head of the frog. As you do. Make sure that they're approximately the same. 12.8, 12.8. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to carve. So the second shape that I make, I'm actually going to use this carve functionality. And I'm going to pull it out. So I'm basically making a little seat for the eyeball to sit. So if we take a look at our froggo here, you can see that it's got like a little bit of there's like an edge to the eye where the eyeball sits. So I'm going to do that on both of these. So I'm going to use carve. Carve is basically cutting out from the shape below it. Remember that everything kind of works on a layer stack. So I need to kind of have things positioned. Scale this down. So now I've got 2 spots for 2 frog eyes. And then we're going to do a copy and paste. And we're going to turn off that carve. We're going to go back to add. I'm going to remove the blending. And we're going to bring this color back down. So we're going to go with like kind of white, but not 100% white. It's a little bit of a green. So now we've got the frog's eye kind of sitting up there. Do another copy and paste. Actually, I probably should have done that over there, but that's okay. We'll bring it in. Bring it on in. Make sure that it sits nicely in that spot there. I had a little bit of a debate about the eyes too, and I ended up going with these sort of like, I don't know if you'd call them standard frog eyes. The other thing that I want to do here, and I'm sorry I'm kind of all over the place, I want to rotate this a little bit, and I'm going to pull it back, and you can see that's going to make it have kind of like a little bit more on the front than on the back. Or I mean on the back than on the front. So it kind of looks like the eyes are coming forward, which is what we want. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm doing that by selecting the shape that has the carve applied to it. So I need to make sure I've got the right shape there. And I'm just rotating it towards the front a little bit. So that I can have these controls, so I can kind of push it and pull it so that I can have it seated kind of more towards the back. It's a little bit ambiguous, I know. This is why I say, like, it kind of, like, helps to just kind of get in there and experiment with the tool a little bit in order to get the feel for how these work. So now you can see that my eyes kind of feel like they're coming forward a little bit more, and there's more of that visible at the back. I don't know. I think this shape here might be blocking it. Oop. I want to move my eye, not squish it. I don't know what happened to this eye. There we go. All right, and then another handy thing we can do, I'm just full of the pro tips today, is we can copy and paste, and we can make this, we'll make this our darker color. Right here. That was like a darker purple. Hit OK. I'm going to make this that darker purple, and I'm going to use a color, and I'm going to bring it forward. So now you can see that the I'm not altering the shapes at all. It's actually like painted on the surface. So that's how I'm going to add the eye in here to Terrence. Terrence the frog. There we go. And I'll do the same thing over here, copy and paste. I'm going to make sure that I've got the right color. Boop. Pull it forward. Now we can see it. Scale it down. So that's how I would recommend adding the eyeballs in here. You can do the same thing with the sort of thinner eye. Let me kind of show you what I meant. I think I started to have a conversation about frog eyes, and then I didn't finish. So there's Terrence so far, looking very good. Looking good, Terrence. Over here in Illustrator, I debated between the thinner eyes versus the star eyes. That or whatever the opposite of the cross eyes is. Yes. So, wait, what are you saying? Make sure the little cross eyes. Yes. And I was trying to remember what this was, last night. I was sketching Terrence last night, actually. I was trying to remember what it was last night. So I know that for cows and goats and things like that, they have the eyes that are long because, so they can see predators on the landscape, so they can see kind of like in widescreen. And I don't remember why frogs have the eye shapes that they do. It's probably for a similar reason. You want them to look in different directions or different sizes. All right, we can scale one down for sure, and kind of pull it. This is Terrence's crazy eye. This is wild eye. All right, and then we could do the same thing here for the long shape inside of the eye. I'm just gonna squish it down. Stay with me. Stay with me. We're working on it. We're getting the shape in place here. I'm gonna need to change the color of it. We're gonna do another color. So I'm gonna go in here. I'm just gonna arbitrarily kind of lighten it a little bit. And we're gonna do color again. So you can see that we're gonna kind of add it in here to get our that kind of weird bit inside of the eye. This lucky eye, yeah. And we do the same thing here. Color, great. We're gonna lighten it. I can grab the color here in a sec, but I want to just see it. I'm gonna scale it down. Oh, come on. No, I want the crazy eye. There we go. Pull it down, pull it up, and scale it. All right. All right, and then we need to make sure we grab the same color from here so that at least that part is consistent for Terrence. Sometimes it's easier to select from the layers panel. All right, so we got Terrence's eyes in. Facial expression would be done the same way, where we take, I would take this as an SVG, and I'll pull it in. Now with the spots, it'll be something different. I do want to get our flower in though. I want to get our flower in. I don't know if we'll have time to get the lily pad and stuff in, but let me show you how to do the flower. So we're going to go over here and we're going to make another new document. And I like doing this a lot of times for these kind of shapes. So I'm actually going to grab a circle. I'm going to just remove the bottom. So we got like this tapered shape here. And we're going to use a stroke. I'm going to change the stroke to have round corner and end caps. And we're going to make it large. There we go. There's our little shape. Now we're going to go up here and we're going to go to our stroke panel again. And we're going to go and change this to have a tapered stroke on it. Just like that. And I'm going to expand it. I'm going to object, path, outline stroke. You may be saying, Jack, that doesn't look like a flower yet. No, it will. Trust me. So if we look at the frog here, if we look at the shape that we're trying to create a bent curve that tapers. And so we need a line that starts thinner and gets heavier so we can extrude it out. So we're going to go to File, Save. I'm going to save another SVG. We're going to call this one Flower Petal. I'm going to make sure that I save this as an SVG. Hit Save. Hit OK. And we're going to import it in. Flower is the very important part to get on this. So we're going to open it. It's going to make it enormous, but that's okay. We're going to scale it down again. Remember, Terrence is very small. He's only half a banana. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to rotate it. So now we've got this kind of upside down weird comma. But stay with me. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to round it, inflate it, expand it. So we can create this little, look at that. Oh, you guys, look at the little flower hat. And this one, I promise you, this will work with the radial. Oh no, we have to scale it down though. Why did it make it so large? Radial. Oh, I might have to pull the distance in. There we go. Now we've got a little flower. Alright, let me change the color of this one. I really wanted to get our little flower, and I feel like that's sort of important. Twist it, bop it. Yeah, exactly. I feel like that sometimes when I'm working in 3D. There's something fun about it. Alright, let's grab the right color. This lovely yellow. And make our flower yellow. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Now it looks like a banana. I don't hate it, though. I don't hate that it looks like a banana. Make sure we've got his flower crown because he is a prince. Very important. Very important detail. We can also change the number of repeats, I think, as well. So if we want to have fewer petals on this, we could. We could also turn it off if we wanted to edit the original shape. So if we wanted to turn this off here and we wanted to make this a little bit wider of a petal, because I do think it needs to be a little bit wider. There we go. And do another radial. There we go. There we go. I'm so much happier with this little flower crown. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of the pieces out here before we get... At least I'm going to put the top on it so that it actually looks like a flower. And I'll just use a... I'm going to use a cone for that. And we're going to actually... Teardrop's getting a lot of use today. We're going to use another teardrop. We're going to make sure that it's the same color as our frog. Since that's our green. Essentially. That's not the color I wanted. There we go. Rotate it up. And we can just put this in place. Sort of for the top of our flower. It needs some work, but like we need to flatten that bottom piece out. Let's take a look. Let's make sure we're doing this right. What's the name of the software? Project Neo. This is relatively, I don't know, can we call it? It's relatively new. Well, we can say it's still relatively new. If you ever want to see a top plane, so like if I wanted to snap this to the top, I can actually click on that at the top here, snap the camera angle. That's going to make it a little bit easier for me to line things up. Actually, that doesn't bother me. Let me go into the edit here. I'm gonna make this a little bit shorter. I'm gonna make this a little bit flatter. There we go. So that's kind of like the top of the flower, you know, where it connects to like the rest of the plant. And then we could add a little stem on there and leaves and stuff like that. So there we go. Terrence is having a good day. What do we have time to do in the last 10 minutes here? Did we get a it looks like lily pad is winning. Okay, well I can show you how to do that really quickly. We'll do a little lily pad for Terrence to sit on. So I'm gonna open up a new file again. This will be fun too because we can use what I appropriately call the cheese wheel. It's not called the cheese wheel, but that's what I call it. Let's make sure this is kind of centered. All right, we're gonna change the fill and stroke. Get rid of the stroke. And then if you have a circle, there's this little handle here, if you didn't know, and you can open it up. So we can just open it up for our little lily pad. This is super easy. And we can just round the corners out a little bit. And just like that, we have basically a lily pad. We'll go here to File, Export. No, not export, save as. I'm going to save this as a lily pad. We might need to do a little bit of refining about how we have the sides pull up. I have to think about that a little bit, but let me just export out the shape for now so we can see how it looks. So we can get rid of this weird bit that he's sitting on that's not really... The prince needs a throne, is what the chat's telling me. Oh, you know what? We can. I know how we can do this. I've done this before. Actually, let me delete that. I'll show you how I did this before. So I'm going to copy and paste. So I've got two of the same shape. One is going to have a stroke applied to it, and one of them is going to be the fill. We're going to go to File, Export. No, I keep going to Export. Save as. Save on my computer. I'm going to replace that SVG. This is actually pretty cool. And I'm going to import my SVG. And those two paths are going to import in independently. Wait for it to save, Jack. So now you see I've got a group. I'm going to ungroup that. And now I can shrink the fill. Or is that the stroke? Oh, I have the wrong thing. Shrink the fill. Let me bring both of these up. And the outside shape is going to remain. So that's how we can create like a little bit of a raised edge on our lily pad. Just like that. And let's use our darker green. We only got like a couple minutes, but if there's any last minute questions, let me know in the chat. But I think this covers how you would go. I mean, you could probably extrapolate how you would create the rest of this. The spots, you could either use separate shapes and just place them, cylinders, or you could use that color blending thing that I showed. Didn't copy the color hex value. There we go. Ooh, that is not the green that I asked for. Here, let's do it in here. Let's pull it down. Something like that. And then I'll do the same thing here. All right, we'll delete that ground plane since that no longer is applicable now that we have Terrence's throne. I'm going to move this down and kind of get it in place. Obviously, I need to add the feet in here. I probably would adjust this shape so that it's not cutting into Terrence. There we go. Nice. Terrence. And this even leaves room on here for like a little friend or something too if you wanted to add that as well. All right, let's let me blend this. But if I want to blend this, I have to bring it kind of below. All the way to the bottom. Since I don't want to blend it with my frog. Alright. Now, when I do a blend on this, it shouldn't blend with the frog. There we go. So now it kind of blended. Did we blend it? Maybe I'm wrong. Lucky Terry. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, we would have to add a lotus flower to this. What is it blending with? Oh, the legs. Okay, yeah. I have to think about this. We have to... Maybe we do have it above everything else. Let's undo all of that. Otherwise, it's going to blend with the feet, and we don't want to do that. Only the highest quality pad, lily pad for Terrence. Yeah. We did not get the face in. But it would be the same process where I would take these shapes, copy them out. I'll probably work on this on my personal streams if you guys want to come hang out with me on my Twitch. We'll finish this guy out this weekend. I think I'm streaming on Saturday if you want to come hang out. But I think we got pretty far. This is a pretty good start. What do you guys think? Ooh, those legs. I need to fix the positioning on these. But overall, for an hour, I mean, we went from having a 2D character that we sketched out last night into having Terrence the Frog, who's got crazy eyes and a lily pad and a flower. So only the highest quality. So yeah, I hope you guys had fun hanging out with me. There's more live streams up, coming up. Where and when? Oh, what's my Twitch? Jack Watson, I think with a 0 as the O. But yeah, there's more live streams. We got the challenges with Izzy coming up next, as well as the Photoshop and video, and there's lots of challenges. So just stay tuned. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully I'll see you guys this weekend so we can finish Terrence. If not, follow me on social, and I'll post Terrence there. Alright, bye everyone!